AJ, what's going on, my brother? How you feeling, man?
Smooth. How are you?
Man, I feel great, bro. It's been a great year so far. And can you really believe that it's 2023, bro?
Already? Yeah, G. I feel like time has flew by.
That's what's up, man. Well, you look good. It's good to see you again, man.
Likewise, bro. Appreciate you.
It's interesting, bro, because when I saw you, I was in my hustling phase, just like I am now still, but riding on the metro, bro. Where were
hmm
you headed that day?
where was I headed, bro? Probably to go work on something. Like it wouldn't have been for no other reason. Actually, I'm pretty positive that's what it was for. I think I was going to meet Ro at the studio or something, but I still was taking the train at the time.
True that, true that. So tell me, man, what type of resolutions do you have for this new year?
Um, in all honesty, it's just about I think most of my resolutions center around me figuring out like what balance looks like for me.
Yeah.
Um and just maintaining a balance. I think like a lot of my resolutions when I come into a year, I'm very good at starting strong and not staying consistent with them. So I'm just trying to stay consistent with finding my balance between music and work and like personal life and family and like staying consistent with all of that.
Yeah, man. And it's good that you mentioned family, bro, because what I've noticed is that that is like your biggest source of support and
Mhm.
energy. And, it's just like the gas to who is, Asar, who is David. You know what I'm saying? And how would you say that your family has been that for you as a person and as an artist too?
Yeah, I think my family has been the driving source of like most of my inspiration and my support at one point or another. Like I didn't even start making music until I started doing it with my brother Nick. Like that was the reason I even started rapping.
That's your blood brother?
Nick is my stepbrother, but
Okay.
Nick is like a blood brother to me.
Fact.
Um,
Still family.
yeah, still family.
Yeah.
I think about like a lot of the reasoning of why I want to take the music as far as I want to, beyond the fact that I just love music in general, but it's also because like I want to be able to create a certain living arrangement for the people around me, for my family and the people I love. Like that's also a driving force as to why I stay so consistent. And just to be able to be in a place now where I know my family supports the vision that I have is really, really dope.
Right, right. Because I know you got your degree, and we're gonna get into that in a
Mhm.
moment. But what was it like explaining to your family, like, y'all, I want to rap, I want to make music?
Yeah, they weren't rocking with it. They wasn't rocking with it. My
Because how,
mom,
because how old were you when you decided that you wanted to be an artist?
I was in college. Like I had been rapping since I was a kid, but I didn't start taking it serious till I got to college. And don't no parent want to hear that you in college now and now you want to start rapping. Like what? Um, especially not my mom who has a PhD, has a master's degree, and is currently in school again for another master's degree.
Oh
Like
my God.
for her, even when I graduated, she was just like, "All right, when you going to grad school?" I'm like, "I'm not. I gave you, I gave you the bachelor's. I did that for you. You know what I'm saying? Got it done. Ain't going back no more."
Yeah, man. And it's interesting because like you talked about family and balance and different things like that.
Mhm.
What is it like for an artist? Because I've known you for years, and I know that you have yet to reach your peak. Like you're still on your way up, and even then, like it's so much higher for you to go. But what type of level of patience do artists have when it comes to, you know, getting to the level that they want to be at in music? Or, is there a certain level you want to reach? Because for some people, they just like making music, and if it pays well, then that's cool. But making music is ultimately the goal.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both for me. To be honest with you, I think I definitely make music because I love it, but I want this to be like the way I bring in income and a part of my everyday life. You know, I think patience is huge for any artist who's looking to do this long term because to be able to do it, there's a level of development that you have to have, and you have to be able to develop without having um like a surety. I think for a lot of people, when you get your degree in your field, you know I can get a job in this field because I have a degree in it. With music or art, it's like none of this is guaranteed, you know. Even if you think you're good, like somebody else has to perceive you as talented at what you do. So
Yeah.
you have to take the time to cultivate what it is you do. If it's different, it's even harder because if you're not following the trends, it's like, okay, I have to prove like what's the term they use? It's not proof of concept, but when you're pitching a business to somebody, it's like you have to show them proof of basically like a proof to show it's profitable. I don't remember what the actual term for it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to be able to know that your time is coming and to wait for it and just build in the interim.
Yeah, man, for sure. Because, you know, one thing that I've noticed is that, you know, with growing a fan base or people that support you,
Mhm.
you know, you just can't have one good thing, right? Like even for some of the most popular Instagram pages, you know, you just can't have that one viral video. Like you have to show a record of like you've been here, like you do this on a regular, like you can show people how you can, you know, like food, like you can show people how you can make Italian food, jerk chicken, you know, seafood. Like you have to show a track record of, you know, this is what you do. You didn't just get one good home run.
Right. Exactly. And to be able to build that consistency does take time. It's going to take trial and error. You're going to have to bump your head a couple of times, figure out what works, what doesn't, and then inevitably carve out the path that works for you and trust in God in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause what do you think about people that are blowing up on social media with the TikTok dances and all that great stuff?
Um, well, power to them. You know, if it works out for you like that, then that's incredible. I think it's a little difficult because a lot of people, if you haven't had the journey and it just ends up happening that way, like a lot of people aren't necessarily prepared to capitalize because like they haven't prepared for it. This was a one off, and it's like I don't really have nothing else coming after this. Like this is what I had.
Mhm.
Um, and then there are those people who like just happen to strike gold, but stay ready so they didn't have to get ready, and they can continue to build off that process. But that happens a dime a dozen. It's not very it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, man. I feel you. I feel you. So let's talk about this new album, bro. What's it
Let's get
called?
it. It's called Ink. It stands for I Now Know.
What now do you know?
So the album is about me figuring out who I am as a person. It's about telling my own narrative, understanding the stories that got me to this place. Um, Dealing with like issues that I have had slash am dealing with and like how I come to a resolve of them, how those show up in my everyday life, how I've dealt with things like fear. Um, and just understanding like what that looks like for me now, who's the person that I'm developing into now through this journey.
Yeah.
And I think that fully encompasses what the album I Now Know stands for.
I like it, man. I like how, you know, this self-awareness that I'm hearing because why would you say that it's important for, you know, you as a person or anybody to be self-aware?
In general, because you can't grow without knowing what you need to grow out of or into, you know. Um, the more you know yourself, the more you can improve. It's like you can't assess a problem without knowing what the problem is. That's in life in general, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that's super important. With art specifically, though, I think your art is always informed by that. I can't if I didn't continue to get to know who I am as a person, my art would always sound the same because I'm not growing and I'm not changing. You know, I'm writing from the exact same perspective all the time. If you grow and change as a person, like your perspectives change and your music changes and your approach changes. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I get it, man. So how is this new project different from the last one? Because is the Bumblebee project, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like it's been a busy day. So I just heard it right before we got on the phone. So I want to first of all thank you for how short it was because I quickly got through the whole thing. Right. And through that 15 minutes, like, bro, you got to you got to add another song or two to these projects, bro, because I can't clean up my whole kitchen, man. But I want to say it's Honey. Yes, it's Honey that I really like because that one had a more like deeper tone to it.
Mhm.
And but I like the whole concept that you have of,
Thank you.
being free and being, misunderstood, but sensitive as well, because bees are sensitive.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if you recall, but when Big Sean did that one video where all the bees were covered
Yep.
on him and
Mhm.
like nothing happened to him, but
Mhm.
if he just sneezed too hard, it would have been a wrap.
Yeah.
So how would you say like this new project, with I.N.K Inc.
Mhm.
How is this different from the Flight of the Honeybee?
It's incredibly different. I think it's mostly different because the music itself is different. Like there are a lot of pockets that I'm in for this project that you've never heard me on before. The musicality of it is even. I think we took things that we learned in the last project, uh, built on them, and made them even better. I think this is the first time that you've ever heard my own personal narrative in this way, and you get to know me as a person because I think I've done a good job of being vulnerable in places in music, but this is the most vulnerable I've ever been. You get to know about my actual upbringing, how we got to this point, like some of the things that still even bother me to this day. Um,
What bothers you today?
what bothers me today, like at this very moment.
Whatever, man, at this very moment, eternally, like, we as somebody who has went through therapy, there's
Mhm.
certain things that I have to learn, that this is just something that I've grown up to, like, that has grown as a habit for me over the years, but this is not something that I must keep. So
Right.
what would you say is something that bothers you?
Um, I think one thing that I've consistently had to deal with is understanding patience with myself and understanding that I'm not a perfect person. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to deliver and to like not make mistakes. And not, I feel like when I make mistakes, I'm being a burden to the people around me. And just having that type of grace where it's like, nah, you human, you're gonna make mistakes, but don't run from that. Like understand when you make mistakes, do what you need to rectify them and to make sure it doesn't happen again. Like that's the true indicator of growth. And that's something that I still consistently am learning right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is that when we get confronted with our BS, for lack of better words, it sucks. And it's just like, one thing my therapist has taught me is that, like, it sucks when we've been found out,
Mhm.
like a certain flaw or incapability that we have has now been revealed. And it's just like, and it may be that, you may want to hide your face, or it's just like you just don't know how to respond when people approach you about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable being uncovered, like it takes a minute to process and um, understand how to deal with that appropriately.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's interesting, man. First of all, I do not mean any sort of offense by this, but bro, has anybody ever told you you look like Kobe Bryant as a rookie?
Yep.
Oh, so I'm not the first person to tell you this.
Nah, they are like three or four go tos. It's Most Def, Kobe, Young Usher, and then there's one more that I can't think of right now, but there's usually four.
Okay, okay. Well, the next thing I'm about to say is in line with you looking like Kobe.
Okay.
So, I watch YouTube videos, like pure motivation YouTube videos. Not all the time, because sometimes they can be a little corny, but I trust Kobe's words, right? And he
Right.
was just saying, like, don't be afraid to fail, and
Mhm.
how important it is because it reveals a weakness.
Mhm.
And what would you say you failed with, that it exposed the weakness that you've worked on?
Fail out a lot. I feel like I realize my deficits daily. But I think that's a good thing. I think I'll just speak about through the album creating process. I think that I was too receptive to the opinions of people around me. And it was affecting how it was affecting how I was creating. Like I wasn't creating as freely as I needed to. Um, I was sticking myself in a box based off of what I thought people wanted to hear from me, and basically just like killing off a lot of the potential I had because of it. If I'm not experimenting, I'm never gonna get better. So I had to just remind myself of everything that I can do and just get more comfortable with understanding that, hey, this may not be someone's cup of tea, but it'll reach out to a different audience and you're having fun while doing it. Like, as long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters.
Even if it's whack.
Even if it's whack, even if it's whack. Because if it's whack, I learned a lesson in it and I know what not to do for the next time, but you'll never know unless you do it.
Man, it's funny, man, because like just like you, I write stories, I do videos and stuff, and I'll be like, bro, this is so terrible. Like, this is so whack. Like the personality, the energy's not there. But
Mhm.
it's just like in that moment, I thought this was it. Like I thought I handled it.
Yeah.
And for where I was at, I did. And when you look at back at the growth that you've had, how does it feel?
It don't feel real sometimes. Um, and I think it's because you don't really focus on it from time to time. Like you just in the moment. And when you look up, you realize, oh, what I made a year ago is not as good as what I'm making right now. Like I've grown a whole lot. And it's crazy how much difference a year can make. Um, yeah, that's the best way I could describe it. Honestly, it's just it doesn't feel real sometimes, but it's really cool to see.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I dig it. So I heard that in the Lyrical Lemonade interview that you don't curse in your music.
Hmm.
True?
This is true. I don't curse in general.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What caused you to make that decision?
There's a couple of different reasons. One, just I was born and raised in a like very traditionally Christian household. So I was always just taught not to. But of course, like there was a conscious decision of my own where I was just like, I don't really need to. I feel like I get my point across without having to. And I don't know on some levels, specifically with music, part of me felt like it was a crutch. Also, I want my music to be able to be consumed by everybody. So if I'm cursing in it, there are certain places that it can't be listened to,
Mm.
and I want
Because
everybody to do it.
because when people make certain music,
Mhm.
do you think that sometimes they just are, expressing themselves? Or, does it sometimes kind of come off as like, you know, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Like, I'm gonna say it how I want to say it.
It could be somebody could use that. I mean, language is there's literally a section of like in school called language arts. You know what I'm saying? Language in itself is an art. And so you can use language to express yourself however you want to, just like you can with a canvas or with a song, etc. That being the case, like people can use language as a form of self-expression where it's like, I'm saying it exactly like this because this is exactly how I feel and I want to portray this emotion. Um
I know how that feels.
yeah,
I know exactly how that feels.
man. And I feel like for others, just like you could be doing it just to do it. Um, I think you kind of got to leave that to the person who's using the language to interpret it for themselves.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I like how you said it's a canvas, and music is you style it how you want it, and
Mhm.
sometimes there is no words to explain how we feel.
Mhm. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah. But yeah, man, tell me about the mentorship that you've gotten up until this point because, you're still doing your thing, you're still grinding. And, you know, what has the mentorship been like to keep you encouraged? Because you were saying, patience has been a struggle for you.
true. I think it's been a few people. I think my team has been super, super supportive through all of this and has really kept me going. Like the homies, having conversations with them and just letting them know where I'm at and them really listening and helping me execute my vision and just reminding me that I'm not crazy. Um, Outside of them, like, well, still a part of my team. I think the person who I've talked to most is Ro. Ro is my engineer, producer, executive producer, like the person who I started music with when I started getting serious. been there from jump, and having him in my corner is really one of the things where it's like, if it's me and Ro, I could do anything. Same thing with Will. Like, Will's my manager. I got Will with me. We can do anything. Um, in terms of mentorship specifically, though, I've been blessed to have a lot of really, really dope people that I've come in contact with. Um, and I don't know, being able to go to them with questions and stuff when I feel like I'm being faced with things on a level that I've never seen before, and I know they've had these experiences, is really, really dope. Like, because I can go to somebody who's had the experience and can guide me and be like, "Hey, this is what you do. Like, this is what you don't do. This is what you look out for." Um, so I'm very blessed in that way.
Yeah. Anybody in particular who's been at a certain level that you've now hit maybe an obstacle and you like, yo,
Yeah, I know. For some business related, not even issues, but just some questions I had regarding some business earlier. Last year, one of the people who I really leaned on was Madeline Nelson. Um, and she is Wyclef's manager. Um, and I met her in 2019, actually, um, through a tour I did with Wyclef, or a show I did, because we went out to South by Southwest and we did a showcase with him. And I met her there, and we instantly clicked. And she instantly was just like, "I know that that I like you," and we got real cool. Maddie is definitely a mentor to me. She is like a mother figure in all of this to me, and it's really cool to be able to talk to her when I'm, trying to figure things out. Um, Same thing with Wyclef. I haven't talked to him in quite some time, just because he's been off doing his own thing. But even when I get to have conversations with him, it's really, really cool too, because he's very, when you have somebody that's of that caliber and has done what he's been able to accomplish, to see how receptive he is to just regular conversation and to be able to help is really cool.
got it. What's he
Yeah.
like?
Uh, like an uncle, if that makes sense. Like, very cool, down to earth, fun loving, likes to have fun. Is always like, I don't know. He's just very open. Um, Always looking out. The spot that I had with, I had a song that was on the Shy like a year or two ago. Um, and he personally reached out to me because he was just like, "I'm scoring that entire season, and I feel like it wouldn't be right to not have like the kid I know from Chicago not be on the soundtrack. So send me something." And he just always looking out.
So
Um,
he helped you get on that soundtrack?
no, yeah, he scored. He was the executive producer for that soundtrack. So he reached out to me and was like, "Send me something for the soundtrack." Yeah.
Wow. So when you watch the episode, because I love all seasons and I'm waiting for the next one. When you saw that episode where you were featured
Mhm.
in the show, what was that like, bro?
It was funny because I didn't even know it had aired. Like, I was in the first, I think I was in the first episode of that season, and I didn't know that the show had started airing. But somebody hit me on Twitter and was like, "Is that Ausar that I hear in the Shy?" And in my head, I'm like, "Oh, it's okay, so it's out." Like, it is finally out. And I went to go check, and I was like, "Yeah, that's me on that joint. That's crazy." And I remember showing my parents and showing some of the homies. It was just a really cool experience. Uh, but I was also stressed out because usually I like to know in advance so I can prepare and get my, like, "Oh, this happened," and be ahead of things. But since I didn't know, I'm like, now I got to tell everybody and figure out how to do it the right way. But it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. But when you say like prepare for something, is it like an official like Instagram, Twitter announcement, or is it
Yeah,
like,
it's the official announce. Like, yes, and to most that might even seem like no big deal. Like, you just announce it. But for an opportunity as big as this, like, for me to not know ahead of time and just it ended up happening, I was just like, I still haven't even processed this yet, and people know. Like, so I gotta let people know.
I think that's pretty dope, man, because you probably were focused on something else and didn't realize that that happened.
I was in
And
an art museum. I remember exactly where I was. I was watching the Van Gogh exhibit and I got a notification when I shouldn't have been on my phone in the first place.
Okay.
And I was distracted for the whole rest of the exhibit.
Wow. I know you just kept refreshing, hitting that little bell, just kept refreshing that joint.
Yeah. I think I stepped out for a second to go call Will because I'm just like, what do we do? Like, how am I announcing this? What are we about to do? So yeah, I remember that.
Nah, that's pretty boss though. Like, because you don't even have to say nothing because like everybody's talking about it. And I think that's a great way to promote what you have going on because, sometimes, people could, that could be like people feel like they reach those sorts of accolades
Mhm.
and they just kind of feel like, they just like, they get there and they just stay there.
Mhm.
And, for you, I'm sure that probably was like, oh man, like this is a new like, you know, journey for me, a new stepping stone for my journey. So,
Mhm.
I'm sure that's something that, reaffirmed what you believe of yourself as an artist.
Absolutely.
But tell me, man, so I know you finished school
Mhm.
and what did you get your degree in?
Community health with a concentration in health admin.
Hold on, bro. All these healthcare shortages and you ain't out there helping folks and you got a degree?
Hey man, I ended up actually using it for all of my jobs postgraduate have been like in places of mentorship or working with kids. I've realized that's like my calling. That's my calling for sure. Is being with the youth.
Yeah, yeah. How do you influence the youth through your music, would you say?
Through my music,
Yeah.
uh, hopefully with the message. Like I think what I try to do is just give my own personal narrative and show people bare bones who I am and how I cope with different things and how um I'm looking to be a better person, my own personal pitfalls that I hope other people either A, listen to the music and realize they don't need to follow the same path, or B, um, understand they're not alone in trying to get better. Um, and I hope that I influence the youth that way through music specifically.
Yeah. Because would you say that there's a certain like path or image that artists should have, like having dropped out of school or having, say, education, going to school, that's whack, that's lame. Like, do you think that that has become like something that people have taken in as just like, well, if they ain't go to school, then why should I?
Um, Not necessarily. I'm kind of the assumption that I think that everybody's entitled to their own path, right? I don't think that artists are entitled to say, you got to go to school, because if that's not their path and it's not something they believe in, you know what I'm saying? It's not true to them. Um, I do think that regardless of who you are, if you have a platform, you serve as an example though, and that's not something you can get away from. So just be the best example you can. Maybe your platform is not to push for like education for everybody. For mine, I think education is useful for everybody, and everybody should get the level of education necessary for their own personal goals and aspirations. For me, college was essential even in being a rapper because that's how I got connected to most of everybody. That's how I built a fan base. That's how I actually even decided I wanted to rap. Like I got around a group of people, an organization called Word, and they put the battery in my back and were just like, "We think you're really good. You should take this a little more seriously."
Shout
Um,
shout out Word, man.
Shout out Word gang,
It was
Word.
one time, it was one time they had their booth at Quad Day, right?
Mhm.
And Gucci was running it. And she was like, I give you this Chewy, the Chewy, the one that comes to
Mhm.
the rapper. She's like, I give you this Chewy, but you got to freestyle for it. I was like, what? See that?
That's
So
so
nah, man,
funny.
Word is definitely a great organization, man. And hey, man, hold on, something's going on. Oh, I only got 10 minutes left. We got to wrap this up soon. But hey man, it was great competing with you too in that AKA pageant that we was in a couple years ago. That was fun, man. That
That
was
was hilarious.
it's interesting because like, I was the new kid on the block at the time because you had been at U of I and I had just transferred the semester
Mhm.
before. And the love that you got. Don't get me wrong, I definitely wanted to win that. Let's not, make no mistake, but it was definitely like it was good to I'm glad that you won because it was good to see how much support and love that you had gotten, in that moment. And tell me, because you were saying how school is what gave you those supporters and people that encouraging you. So could you share a little bit more about how them encouraging you to do what you do now has brought you this far?
Yeah, I mean, my entire support system, like the start of it all stemmed from being in college. Uh, a lot of my lifelong friends that I will be around forever came from being there, and they're the ones who directly support everything it is that I do. I was able to kind of cut my teeth and understand what performance looks like and understand like how to draw audience, how to market myself, just all the skills I would need to become more successful once I got into a bigger scene while I was at U of I. It was my training ground. It was my training ground for all of that.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because when you got people that support you wholeheartedly and you're not quite a household name yet, like that's real love. Like they really support what you do.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to experience.
So, Grammys, they're coming up
Mhm.
February 5th, which is a Sunday. Tell me, as someone who is an artist or a rap artist, hip hop artist, and has seen other artists either win some, should have won some, what comes to mind? Because some complain that the whole thing is rigged.
Mhm.
What do you think about the Grammy?
Yes, for sure. So it's interesting. I am actually a member of the Recording Academy. Um, and so I do think that the accolades behind them like hold a level of merit for sure. I think every artist when you come in, this is like sports and music are very synonymous things, right? I think the level of rigor and intensity you have to become a successful athlete is the same as becoming a successful musician. We don't have a whole lot of awards. We don't have a championship. We don't have like MVP. We don't have any of that, but we do have things like the Grammys. Uh, so I think everybody deep down wants to win a Grammy. I think when you talk about cultural, I'm going to use the words cultural competency, right? Because I think sometimes the decisions that are made up top may not necessarily reflect the impact that they had on a cultural level, specifically in the realms of like hip hop or R&B or who was nominated, who wasn't. They're not always reflective. I think as of recent, they've gotten a bit better about having an ear to the streets and being like, "Oh, this is what's hot." You know what I'm saying? And I'm appreciative of that.
They hire somebody from the trenches.
Yeah, so I do appreciate that. I do think they're working to get better. I do see how in times past that definitely would be a thing that like was upsetting. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Because it's crazy because back in 2014,
Mhm. Was that the Kendrick Macklemore?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going with
Kendrick,
this.
Macklemore, Jay-Z and Ye, and there was one more. I don't remember though.
I didn't know. It's been a while since that happened, but I didn't go through the else was on that nomination. I just know that it was like controversy behind that.
Hmm. Hmm. Best new hip hop, best hip hop album that year. I think it was Good Kid, Mad City, Watch the Throne, and The Heist, and it was one more. I just can't remember what the other one was.
Mhm. How do you think that happened?
I think it was a cultural competency thing. When you look at how all those and it was a couple of things because I think they look at sales for sure. Macklemore was killing the charts at the time. That's the truth.
I'm gonna
But
pop some tags because I got
yeah,
$20 in my
you know,
pocket. That was a catchy song. I
yeah,
will admit it was catchy.
he was killing the charts. But when you look at the cultural impact of all of those albums,
Oh gosh.
when you look back at it now, of course, hindsight is biased, but it looks crazy for the Heist to have one out of all those albums.
But when you think about Good Kid, Mad City, you got Swimming Pool,
Mm-hmm.
got Money Trees.
Mm-hmm. Backseat Freestyle.
Oh my gosh, you got um, what's the song with him and Cole on there? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
You talking? Wait, you mean him and Drake? Because that
Drake.
was
Sorry, him and Drake.
Poetic Justice. Yeah.
Because you know what? I was thinking about Born Sinner earlier, and I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about Forbidden Fruit. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, him and Drake.
Yeah.
Poetic Justice. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
What
One of
was your
the it's the one of the longest standing hip hop albums on the Billboard Hot 100 ever. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's up. That's what's up. So let me ask you this, because you said everybody deep down wants to win a Grammy,
Mm-hmm.
but the Grammys has once been culturally incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that some artists get upset when they don't win a Grammy,
Mm-hmm.
maybe win a Soul Train or a BET award?
Because the Grammys are the biggest. And if you care about what it is you do, like a lot of times everybody wants to be acknowledged in some way. Acknowledgement looks different on a whole lot of different spectrums, but when you have the biggest awards for what it is you do and you're not acknowledged, especially when you put your time and your effort and your heart and your soul behind this project, it took love and dedication and everything you had for you to get there, and then be like, it was good, not good enough for a nomination though. Like that can actually hurt. Um, Once again, I do think that's one of those things where you have to go back and look at yourself and have the conversation of, okay, what is it that I'm doing this for? Am I doing it for the accolades or am I doing it because I love it? Um, and if you're doing it because you love it, though it may be like, man, I really wanted to, you can find resolve in knowing that it doesn't matter if I'm acknowledged or not because I'm doing it because I love it. So,
Yeah. And I like how you put that, because my next question was going to be like, but you got a BET and a Soul Train award from your own people.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
great.
yeah. And can like the BET awards would
Mhm,
have everybody in their mama in the living room watching that joint.
mhm, mhm.
What's one of your favorite moments from the BET awards?
Favorite moments from the BET Awards?
Yeah.
Um,
If you could just think of one.
this is very random. Did Chris Brown do that Michael Jackson tribute at the BET Awards?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was fire. I remember that. I don't know why I remember that so vividly, but I remember that moment and it was really, really fire.
Bro, it was so good that it was like nobody can replace Mike, but
Hmm.
if there was like a step in, like off the bench type person, that was
VCB.
yeah,
I think he did an incredible job on that tribute. It was really great.
absolutely. Azar, we're almost out of time, man. But what's one thing you want people to know that they don't know about you?
Um, Great question. Um, Whether people know it or not, I just want people to know that my goal behind all of this is just to change lives, man. I think that's my mission statement and everything that I want to do as it pertains to music. As a person with any resources I have, I just want to make the world a better place.
All right, man. That's it, man. We out of time, but appreciate you for making the time to speak with me. Sure, you got a busy schedule, man, but nonetheless, man, it's good catching up with you, bro.
Nice catching up with you too, bro. Appreciate you.
Sure, man. Take care, bro.
You as well. Peace.